I grew up in Southern California, but found real peace in a little town called Seymour, Missouri. When I was 21, my grandfather had just passed and left me his 14-acre property, dense woods, a calm pond, and an old colonial-style house set far back from the road. A couple years later, I met Allie at church, and by 25, we were married. 2 years later, we had twins. Life was simple: 2 pigs, a Saint Bernard, a Labrador, 3 cats, a vegetable garden, and that mysterious pond I'd always been drawn to, yet never fully trusted. Something about its stillness felt wrong. Everything shifted the summer I turned 41. One evening, I wandered out toward the pond. Work had been exhausting, bills were piling up, and Allie and I had been arguing more than usual. That night, the water seemed off. Not in a haunted way, but unnaturally still, like it hadn't moved in days. I brushed it off as heat and stress, but the uneasy feeling stuck with me. Then the animals began acting strangely. The pigs stopped eating. The Saint Bernard, who almost never barked, started growling toward the woods every night. Even the cats began avoiding certain rooms in the house. Allie said it was probably raccoons or coyotes, but I wasn't convinced. I was on edge, snapping at people, unable to sleep. One evening near dusk, I noticed tiny ripples on the pond's surface. Odd, since there was no wind and no fish large enough to cause them. Then came a strange humming sound, low and vibrating, from somewhere I couldn't pinpoint. For a moment, I was frozen. Then I forced myself back inside. That night, I heard whispering. Not ghostly, just like my mind wouldn't shut off. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped into the hall, thinking maybe one of the kids was awake. At the top of the stairs, I saw a man's silhouette. Not a ghost, a man. He turned and vanished into the dark. I rushed up but found nothing. Kids asleep, doors locked. The next morning, I searched the whole house. No broken windows, nothing missing. When I told Allie, she admitted she'd been hearing things too. The kids had nightmares about strange places. I started wondering if someone had been watching us, maybe even stepping onto the property. We called our pastor, not for an exorcism, but for peace of mind. He agreed to bless the house. During the blessing, the power went out. Mid-prayer, our pastor clutched his chest, shaken but okay. He told us the atmosphere felt wrong and advised us to leave for a while. We refused. Instead, I set up security cameras around the property, especially near the pond. For a few nights, nothing happened. Then one evening, a motion alert came through. On the live feed, a tall hooded figure stood by the pond. It didn't move. 30 seconds later, the feed went black. I ran out with a flashlight. Nothing. Just the wind and frogs. But the next morning, I found flattened grass, like someone had stood there for a long time, and a charred locket half buried in the mud. Inside was a faded photo of a woman I didn't know. Allie thought she resembled someone who'd gone missing years back, but the sheriff's office had no records. Over the next weeks, things escalated. Furniture moved on its own. Lights flickered. The kids grew withdrawn. One night, a living room window shattered during an argument, and the twins vanished from their beds. We tore through the house and yard. Hours later, I found them standing silently at the pond's edge. Their faces blank, They collapsed moments later. At the hospital, doctors found no illness, no trauma, nothing. They woke up 3 days later with no memory, except both described the same vivid dream. Our home, but rotting and silent, while something watched them. I became obsessed with the pond's history. Turns out, past owners had sold quickly, blaming bad luck or family troubles. There were also local reports of squatters and unstable drifters. Eventually, I met Elias, a retired historian. He told me about a 1970s case. A missing woman whose car was found near my land. He suspected the pond might have been a dumping site. That night, Elias and I decided to drain it. While setting up, I slipped, hit my head on a rock. Blackness. When I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital. My parents were there, crying. The doctor explained. I'd had a stroke while swimming in my grandparents' pool. I'd been in a medically induced coma for over 24 hours. Everything, the land, the house, alley, the twins, the pond, was my mind's creation. I broke down. I had lived an entire lifetime that never happened. A wife I loved, kids I would have died for, gone. The scariest part? For all I know, this still might not be real. So live your life, appreciate every moment, because certainty might just be the biggest illusion of all.